Back in the day, you just write a brass book, and then the battery guy would write, and the pit guy would write. Boom, there it is. Okay, the show's there, and that's still a major part of our process. But with the addition of electronics, you know, suddenly there's this whole other layer of sounds that we can get through synthesizers, or what guitars, whatever it ends up being. And we also have the little thing called narration, and I learned from a major drum corps that you have to be very careful on the use of narration. Everything needs to live in a space, and if it's too much, if there's too much going on, you don't know where to listen or look or whatever. And that would happen to a lot of my groups, especially if you have people that rehearse groups. And let's say it's okay, I'm running ensemble and I'm a battery specialist. I'm going to work on alignment and everything like that, but I want to hear the battery, and sometimes you need that person that can really back up and hear everything in its totality and understand that, the faders are very important when it comes to mixing a drum corps. And a lot of times that particular step gets overlooked periodically. That's why you always have to have those levels of like brass and battery. Let's get them lined up on the field, and everything lined up and balanced there. Let's layer on the pit to that. Okay, we've got to make sure that we can hear all of the narration. So that means maybe we duck, maybe we pull things out. But I learned a long time ago that a certain drum corps had a lot of narration in their show, and their the brass and percussion were killing it. I mean, fantastic playing. But there's narration going at the same time. And so all of us, it's split focus. What am I supposed to listen to? And I know they struggle with that quite a bit. The concept was great. So if you look on my website, I did a show called Telltale Heart. And that particular show was my essay on how you should do narration. Because I believe, and this is just my own philosophy, but I mean, it totally works. And every time that show is performed, it's recognized for this. But you need to set up narration musically, and then you need to give it its space and get out of the way, let it happen, and then react to it. And so in that particular composition, I was given all of the Edgar Allan Poe Telltale Heart. It's condensed down to, there's a lot of narration in it. But the narration always is the focus at that particular time. But if you listen to the music, it's always set up, and it always reacts to that narration. And my whole point about that is like, we've entered a new era. And if you don't give narration its, spotlight, you're going to have that same problem that the drum corps did. And so I learned a lot about that. I heard judges talking about, I really want to hear the music over there, and there's this narration. Or some judges are going, I really want to hear this, and they're playing all this stuff at the same time. And it was all great. It was just like, you just need to know when to bring things up and down. And so to me, that has been one of those moments where I think a lot of us have evolved over time. Again, since I take the first step, I'm going to write a whole bunch of brass stuff, and sometimes I know that it's going to go, okay, that's going to be a pit phrase now. We need that exposure. I do the same thing with marching bands. I'll have a lot of full ensemble stuff because, maybe a band doesn't have a strong low brass section and they need all the woodwinds playing during that time or whatever. But a lot of my marching band music, you can do the same thing. Either get the brass way down if you want that woodwind texture, or completely pull the brass out and you have that phrase. I think a lot of people, I think one of the misunderstandings about bands using my music is that it has to be played, absolutely as written, note per note per note. I have changed my own stuff on the fly all the time.
Right.
Because it's like, oh, look, the saxophones are staged beautifully right here. and they've got the harmony right there, and then you got the trombones out on the 20-yard line way back there, trying to play, an accompaniment part syncopated, and they're 80 yards away. Let's just take them out. And then suddenly it's like, oh, we have this beautiful woodwind moment when it could have been a hybrid moment. Mm-hmm. And it's a whole nother area, but texturing, how much of brass, woodwinds, or this instrument or that, you can create all these colors. Same thing like in the drum corps thing. So I think, when we talk about where's it going, I think the more creative people are about the use of electronics, and do they use acoustic based electronics, or is it something that's very synthetic sounding? I know we've got a little of both in Mandarin's show this year.